Okay, we're on page number 15 if you're following along in the program. Designing your church for growth. Now, every activity of the body needs to be intentional. It goes along with what we talked about having a plan to obey Matthew 28. You need to know what your system is. You need to know why. Why are you meeting for the particular meeting you had? Just because you've always had midweek doesn't justify its existence. Just because you've always had church, okay, why are you doing that? What's the purpose here? What are we trying to accomplish? Now, this is why I like Rick Warren's book, Purpose-Driven Church, which is I reread here just recently. And the thing that I liked about it is he's got a really well broken down analysis of Acts chapter 2 and the early church there. And he just says simple, and I think it's clear, and I think it's valid. And so the one thing that I got out of that is every service you have, and you'll also see this in books called like Simple and Andy Stanley's work, is everything that they do, every activity, there's a purpose for it. They know why they're doing what they're doing, and it accomplishes some end that will benefit the church and ultimately help it to grow. So let's talk about this. First of all, your Sunday service. Now this is what we do, and this is why we do what we do. Our Sunday service, the purpose in my mind for our service is worship. We spend about half of the time worshiping God through song and through our contribution. That's a form of worship. And our communion. Then also there's evangelism, because I've told my members this year, I said, every Sunday service I'm preaching to your friends. So if you bring a person on Sunday, I will guarantee you that you will not cringe, because I'll be talking about something that is directed towards disciples. Everything I preach is going to be directed towards your guests. And so they know with a guarantee, if they bring their mom and pop or their Uncle Joe, that it's going to be visitor directed and it'll be helpful for them. Now that's just what I've chosen to do, and I know some of you don't follow that, and that's fine, but this is what I'm doing. This is my purpose for our Sunday service. And then fellowship makes sense. We fellowship afterwards, which is great. Wednesday service. The purpose is growth, maturity, discipling, and teaching. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, Acts chapter 2:42. So that's what we do. So I teach a class. We have a little bit of singing, but I teach a class, or there's a DVD program, and then there's discipling groups afterwards. It's all about the disciples. Wednesday night's completely about disciples only. Amen. Okay, and people bring their friends, and if they do, they're probably open, because it's really disciple-ish. That's right. And then there's Saturday servant evangelism. Okay, I came into this year saying we are not just going to take a stab at it. It's not going to be just a phase of the church. This is going to be something we build into the DNA of our church. Twice a month we're going to reach out and we're going to serve people. And so we get out, we reach out, and we also serve people and serve the community. So it has a dual function. We've got to get out there in the community. We can't stay at home and reach out to our saved family. Then we got to make midweek count. Let's take a look there. Here's how the question came up is, how do you do midweek? What's your plan? What's your program? Well, here it is right here. 7 o'clock we get together, we start singing, we sing, we practice our songs for Sunday because our singing is developing. At the beginning, I was leading songs, that was terrible. And now we have a song leader that's getting better. So 7 o'clock singing, huge improvement. 7:10. We break up, and what we do is, they devote themselves to prayer. They were really into prayer, so what we do is for 10 minutes, after singing, I say, let's break up. We'll be like this. It's like a group this size. And we'll say, okay, find 2 or 3 people around you to pray. And whoever it is right around them, they just kind of turn their seats. We're like in a gymnasium, and they just start praying right there. And they pray for 10 minutes straight. It's awesome. What it does is, people come in just scattered in their minds. They're burdened from work. They're just they're not spiritually oriented at all. But after they sing and then they pray for 10 minutes, man, we are in tune. They're ready for the lesson. They're spiritually oriented. They've calmed their hearts down. Good point. They're really ready to go. And so that's been a really great thing that we've been doing, and I really enjoy it. I'd recommend trying it for a while. 7:20, I get up. We share good news. I go through announcements. I put them up on the screen. We go through the announcements. What I've done now is, because I hated this, I'd say, does anyone have any good news? No one would raise their hands. I hate it. It's like, come on, please. And somebody said, Just get up and make some sort of stupid comment or something like, gosh, this stinks. So what I do now is I say, let's go through the announcements, and while we're going through the announcements, try to think of some good news to share in a few minutes. And so it kind of warms up. People need a little time to think, oh, what is some good announcements? I've got some wireless mics, I pass it out, and then they share good news. And it's really encouraging that way. 7:30 or 7:35, we go into a lesson or DVD program. It lasts no longer than a half an hour. Sometimes I'll go 40 minutes if I want to. I give myself more leeway in the midweek because I figure they're disciples, they can handle. It's a lot more scripture during the midweek, a lot more depth. Try to get into the Bible as deeply as possible. I did a whole maturity class for the first 4 weeks of the year, plus a workshop for 2 weeks, and heavy Bible. Sunday is Bible light. Wednesday is we get into it pretty good. 8:10, we break into small groups for discipling and discussion. This is just gold time, man. Our people, they're trained, they're into it now. We break up, we have small groups, what you might consider Bible talks. We have small groups, we break up. Everyone gets a group. I type up the discussion questions and put it on the screen so everyone in the auditorium can see it. They look up on the screen. They have discussion leaders. They go through it. And they listen, they talk, they share. Sometimes they'll say, confess your sin to a partner before you start the group. They'll do that. And it's just part of the program. They get in there, they disciple. It's awesome. Because I was concerned, like, how are we going to do discipling? I'm afraid people are just doing discipling on paper. They're not meeting with their discipling partners. And the only way that I could think was Wednesday night is a time I can control. I'm going to make people circle around in groups of 3 to 5, and they're going to have some discipling time. And a lot of times just sharing, it's awesome, and it's a beginning. And it's not complete. It helps to have a one-on-one discipling partner, but at least it's a supplement. And then we break up at 9 and then just have fellowship. So that's what I do for midweek, and it seems to work for us. I know you have different systems, but that's for us what works. Think through a simple motto for your church that you can rally your people around. For me, having fun, loving God, making disciples. I like it. I like to have fun. I like to love God. I like to make disciples. And the having fun part helps me to just ask myself, every once in a while I get all stressed out about the ministry and say, Rob, you having fun? No. Well, just lighten up here a little bit. Let's have some fun. And if you come to our church, I think there is a sense. There's a sense that, hey, we're enjoying this. This is fun. This is exciting. Something always new happening. We try to lighten up. Don't get too serious. And then love God. And then make disciples. Okay. Schedule major evangelistic activities 4 to 5 times a year. This is a good one I got from a book. I can't remember, Nelson Searcy or something like that. And he talked about having really big services. And one of the things that he talked about is he said if you're starting a new planting, how you start a church is often how it's going to be in the future. And that there is a direct correlation between the size of the first service and the future size of the church. You can think about it this way. Does anyone remember how many people came to the first service of the LA church? Randy? I don't know. 1,000 people. That was the first service they ever had.
Wow.
What do you know? It's over 6,000 now. I go, okay, there is a correlation. And if you're starting a new church, maybe you're not, but it helps to start big. And so that was one of my first big goals. We are going to start big. And so I had people write to their friends, their family, their relatives, anyone who lived. We had people flying in from Texas to bring their friends. We had a ton of visitors. And people who became Christians, who came to that first service, became Christians that fall and into the springtime, which was awesome. So it helps to have these big services. And I think the biggest thing that happens is take a look at this, okay? Take a look at our average attendance. It's right around 50. But after this 1 week, boom, boom, look at how it just jumped up 50. And then the average was 50 more. You know what Ed talked about last night about changing your set point? Yeah. That special service changed the set point in our church from a 50 attendance church to a 100 attendance church in one service. That's the benefit of those big services. And so periodically, we'll have a big service. So this service here is, okay, that was end of September, which is our beginning, and it's also 5 weeks into the school year, which is a key time. About 4 to 5 weeks after school starts is your best time. You've got kids are coming back to school. They've gone through with all their first school jitters, and now they're starting to look for a church. Best time to have a first service. Gives your time to people to warm up. Christmas service, key time. We had 150 people at that service. And then Easter, boom, right there, 200. Okay, then we go along here. We had some, these are our Blockbuster Sundays, themed around movies that come out in June and July, May, June, and July. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that. So, Man of Steel. We had the invitation card looking like ticket stub. It was really fun. I enjoyed it because I'd watch the movie, then a week later I'd preach on it. Loved it. I like watching movies anyway, so it was great. Gave me an excuse to do it. Couldn't get the ticket reimbursed, but it was still fun. Okay, 10-1. What was this? Oh, this is the first anniversary service. Okay, so here's a little echo. This is unassisted. I said, let's have more than 200 people in our second service. Well, we had almost 250.
Amen.
Okay, this was not augmented by disciples coming down to visit. This was just us. And so that was awesome. And then again here, this is Christmas service. Last year, 150. This year, 200.
Amen.
Christmas, Easter. Anniversary service, fall, Christmas. This was just an anomaly. We had some people visiting, and so we had a lot of people come. But this year, after I repented at the beginning of the year to break through this plateau, what I'm excited about is right here. What we're seeing here is we were at 100, that's about averaging 110 or so. Then we were averaging 120 coming into the year. But the last two Sundays, 142 and 141. And so what I see here is as a result of what I've been doing this year, and the church has been doing, we're seeing a new set point start.
Amen.
Up to 140. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Now I know you might go, well, it doesn't look like that much, Rob. It's a big deal, trust me. Take it from my word, I'm fired up. And so you've got to get excited and plan those special services. It does help. Now, here's the thing. These are not special services. These are just normal services. And that's why I'm excited about the change that I've been making, that I've been talking to you about, because it just happened automatically. That was not a special service. But I think after Easter, we're going to jump even higher, and then I'm excited about that. Let's move on to the next page.
Come on, Rob. Great stuff, Rob. Let's go, Rob.
Okay, start a JVVarsity Sunday worship service. Now, this is something I picked up from a guy named Steve Sobrin, and he said start from the beginning to have 2 services, just based on vision. Someday you're going to need more services. I'm like, that sounds good to me. So we started off with 2 services. You have to do some service anyway for your Kingdom Kid workers, right? Usually do like communion. Why not use that time to develop your young guys? Now I know what you're thinking. You say, what about discipling? How are you going to train up other guys? You're talking all about reaching out yourself, but what about the next generation? Guys, I got that on my mind too. I'm not forgotten about that. I know that we got to do that. One of the ways I do that is we have a 60-minute service, and the 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock service is preached by one of my young guns. And I'll go, and I'm there by like 9:30. We'll run through it. He gets up. It's like one song. He gets up and preaches. And then I watch him. I give him a critique. Sometimes I'll film it. Then he'll say a prayer, and he's done by 10:40. Then we have everyone come in for the donuts and coffee, and then I'll preach for the second service. It's a great way. Those Kingdom Kid workers don't feel so resentful that they're getting so little for serving in the Kingdom Kids. They feel like I'm getting an actual sermon, not just the bread and the wine. You get a little bit more than that. So that's a good way to train your people. And so give them video and personal feedback. That's how I trained the evangelists I raised up in Ashland, and I thought I'm going to take that down and do that in Tucson, and it's a good way to use your time. Foster your married ministry. I got this from Randy, and it's such an important concept because I was not good in married ministry. Our married ministry was an absolute albatross around my neck until I came to Tucson and got some help. Change your view of married ministry. Your married ministry can crank.
Yep. Amen.
I didn't think so, but it can. I know you're stubborn. I know, no, not my married ministry. I know, I've been there before. It can crank, it can grow. Not like the campus ministry, but in a different way.
Right. Amen.
You need to prioritize marrieds and singles over campus ministry. Now this is really strikes at the heart of our campus-based ministries from the past. But here's what I've learned, guys. I tried it both ways. And in Ashland, I focused on the campus over the marrieds and singles. That was a mistake. Instead, here in Tucson, I've got to build my financial base first. The kids are going to become Christians. That's a breeze. You know, we hear about the, oh, I grew from, 30 to 85 in 10 days. That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's great. I go, praise God. But, when those kids drop 85 cents in the plate, you're not going to get much bang for your buck there. That doesn't help your paycheck. You might be out of a job, but you got a great campus ministry. And so you got to prioritize your marrieds and singles over the campus ministry, and you've got to do it, and it's got to be because of you. So use this parent, teen, and preteen program once a month to pull in families. I looked at Randy's calendar. It had it once a month on a Saturday. I decided I'm going to do the same thing. So every month on a Saturday from 5 to like 9, all the parents, all the teens, all the preteens pull together. We meet together for a dinner, then we break up and have separate Bible talks for the parents, the teens, and then the preteens. Gosh, what a difference that's made. I mean, all of a sudden, we are seeing first of all these fallen away Christians are coming back, not because they love God, but because they want their kids to become Christians.
Okay.
They were just sitting on the sidelines going, what's this guy doing over here? But then when we start doing that for their kids, like, okay, I want to, what's going on? When's that next meeting? They jumped in 2 feet first. They're just so excited, and that's been a huge, huge thing. Make your kids' programs great, because that will bring the parents in. Make your Kingdom Kids program, your children's care workers, man, make that a priority, because it brings in the parents, it brings in the money, and that will help your church grow, and then you can build on top of that your campus ministry. But the campus ministry is not a self-standing ministry. You got to build right in order to make it last. Let's move on to the next point. Make your church guy-friendly.
All right.
There's a great book called Why Men Hate Going to Church by David Moreau. Great book to read. I totally recommend it. But it's true. Let's face it. There's a lot of sissy stuff that goes on at church. A lot of hugging, a lot of talking, a lot of sharing your feelings and stuff like that. It's girl-oriented. It's girly. Okay, and we've just gotten so used to it, we've just gotten sissified over time.
It's our new set point.
It's girl-oriented. Girls take to it like pronto. That's why our ministries are so often a lot heavier on the women than the guys. And so, you got to make your services guy-friendly. One of the best ways is keep your Sunday services to 60 minutes long. Hey, why do I do 30-minute lessons here and then take a break? Because you guys have short attention spans. We're guys, okay? We got to get up and use our body. Okay, we can't just sit there for 2 hours straight. And sometimes I sit there in these large services and they run 2 hours long and I just go, this is torture. When did Jesus decree we have to have 2-hour worship services? I know you guys are used to that, but I go, whoa, too long for guys, too long for me. I don't like that. Shorten it up. Okay, we need some shorter things. So my recommendation is 11 o'clock, this is what we do, 11 o'clock singing, 15 minutes or 20 minutes of singing. This is because no one in my church shows up before 11:20 anyway. In fact, what I do in order to not get myself discouraged before I preach is I sit up towards the front and I don't look back until 11:20. I just keep on singing to Jesus. Lord, bring the crowd. Don't want to look back because no one's back there. I don't know. I talk to them, I yell, I cajole. They never show up on time, but that's the way it is. So we had to move our welcome not to the first 5 minutes, but actually 15 to 20 minutes in, and then we have a few people show up by that time. We do the communication cards and a song, one more song before the sermon. I get up at 11:20, and there's usually a pretty good crowd at that point. And then afterwards, Bro gets up and says, that was a good lesson, Rob. You've got some communications cards. Why don't you figure out how you want to respond? Check one of the boxes there. Now let's go ahead and pray for the communion. There'll be a collection. During the passing of the trays of the collection, there's a baptism up on stage. We try to do it right then. We don't dismiss anybody because everyone will take off and they won't look at the baptism. And then we close at 12 o'clock. We have a closing song. At about 12:05, the fellowship begins. So it's right around 60 minutes. And I tell people at the beginning, tell the guys, I say, here's what you can expect in our worship service. It's going to last about an hour. You'll be here for an hour. We're going to sing another song. There'll be a sermon. There'll be a communion, a collection, and then we're going to be finished. And the guys can go, okay, I can handle that. That's no big deal. It helps, guys. And so shorten it up a little bit. Preach to attract men. Man, make your sermons guy-oriented. Make it attractive to guys. You know, the girls will come. Worry about the guys. Try to preach for 25 to 30 minutes. I know you think you're a maestro of the pulpit, but shorten it up. Make it 25 to 30 minutes. And then also for the midweek, try this series for men called 33, the series. This is for men. This is a total midweek program. Did I show you guys this earlier?
Yeah.
Maybe just a tent makers. Okay. This is the program designed for the needs of guys. This is awesome. Now, it's evangelical, but they don't ask you to pray Jesus into your heart.
Good.
And so you don't have to worry about it. One guy says his testimony, he said, I came forward and I said a prayer. But other than that, it's not going to ask any of your people to do anything like that. Good stuff, good material, covers a whole range of topics you probably never even thought of. I had never thought about, like, wow, that's good stuff. There's 3 6-segment series. We've gone through all 3 volumes of it. It's like 18 segments. Great stuff. And saves you a lot of time in lesson preparation. And it's got questions. There's a workbook associated. You can still break off into your D groups afterwards. Guys love it. They bring their friends. And it's awesome. There's no downside. Really, really good stuff. It's nice to alternate that with your own teaching material. I really enjoy it, especially if you're busy. Okay, 5th point. Make it easy for your members to reach out.
Amen.
Always have good invitation cards, door hangers, and postcards available. You guys have some of those on your seats?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had these since the beginning of the church. Here's some cards that I use. Man, these are everywhere. I go out and people are constantly asking, do you have any more cards? Of course I've got cards. I just ordered 5,000 more before I came here. And it's simple. You've got your card on the front. I got my little motto down there on the bottom. On the back side, it's the time. And the new ones say, come join us. It's got a map. Got to have a map. It's got the directions and a contact so people can put their name and then the website. It's amazing how people will use these cards if you give them to them. But you know what blows me away? Is I'll go visit another church, and my wife does the same thing. She'll say, do you have any invite cards so we can share our faith while we're in your town? Oh, no, I don't. Yeah, we had some of those for a special service. I don't have any right now. That just blows my mind. I mean, would you send your soldiers out into battle without any ammunition? But you're allowing the people in your church to not have any easy ways to let people know about your preaching? Come on, guys. It's so simple and so cheap. 5,000 of these things, $179. Now, when we first started the church, we tried a whole bunch of different. I had, quite a bit of cash because LA made a contribution, and so I wanted to experiment. I had not had any cash in Ashland, so I'm like, woohoo, me. Let's try some different marketing techniques. So we tried radio, I tried mail-outs, we did a little radio spot, we did mail-outs, we did some print advertising. We did a 5,000 person postcard mail-out. One guy came, little old man, got my postcard, came to church. Praise God that he came.
Wow.
That thing costs a lot of money for one guy. But for bang for the buck, and many of us are really tight financially, this is the golden ticket. This is what you want right here. $179 for a 5,000. Keep them stocked. Put them out every Wednesday and Sunday so people can grab them. Servant evangelism. Okay, some people asked about what is servant evangelism. Okay, servant evangelism is a term coined by Steve Sogren, who did the book Conspiracy of Kindness and Community of Kindness. And what he talks about is reaching out, but also giving to people as you reach out. And so some of the things we've done is like we do a gum giveaway, or we'll go out near the campus, and there's a recreation center. Kids are coming out. People are coming out of the gym. They've just finished working out. I'll go to Costco, buy a bunch of protein bars. Yeah. And I'll have my card and the protein bar, and I'll say, can I give you a protein bar after your workout and an invitation to a great church? And I go, yeah, thank you. And what it does is it lowers the bar of fear for your disciples to get out and reach out.
Amen.
Because they're serving and they're giving. We do different things like go through the neighborhood. We do door hangers. And we'll also knock on the door and say, hey, we're trying to show God's love in a practical way. Can we clean any of your windows or your counters? And, some people say, yeah. Some people say no. But some people say, yeah, that's awesome. And we brought lots of people out that way. And so here's some of the examples. We've done candy giveaways, protein bars. I'd say, set aside in your budget room for this to do this. I'd say 5 to 10% of your current budget for advertising in this way. We've given away free water. We did a free car wash. That was not so successful, but it's fun to do. We tried it. Window and counter cleaning. We talked about that. Klondike bars. We did that. That was really fun. One time we did a bicycle giveaway. We did a raffle. We did this raffle. All these people came in. We raffled off the bike. This girl comes along. She takes the bike. She's all fired up. And we didn't see her again.
Okay.
6 months later, she came back to church, studied the Bible. She got baptized last month.
Who knew?
Praise God. God knew that. He just encouraged us right there.
Amen.
Tucson tends to be hot, especially in the summer. We do a snow cone giveaway. There's a place called EG's, and we just scoop it, and people just flock up by the hundreds to pick that up. We'll go before a football game or a basketball game. This was really fun. And as people are leaving their cars, going to the venue, they're coming by in the thousands at a busy intersection waiting for the light, and we're right there with snow cones, candy, whatever we're giving away. And we'll say, hey, we want to invite you to our church and give you some of this free snow cones. People just come up. Oh, thank you so much. I've been looking for a church. It brings people to you. Your people don't have to chase. And people feel like, this is easy. This is incredible. It blows their mind at how easy evangelism can be. And so we're all scared of evangelism to some degree, but this helps ease it and make it more accessible. So door hangers, bike raffles, that's what that is. And so one of my personal favorites is the Juicy Fruit or Double Mint Gum giveaway. And so I want to just spread joy here. There you go, right there.
Best.
Okay. There we go. Just share that, okay, bros?
Wow.
Gotta pay attention.
Greatest
there we
message
go.
ever.
Now listen, I know Double Mint is old school. My dad chewed this gum, and you know what? It works. Okay, let's talk more about this. So that's what I do. It's fun, and it makes it enjoyable, and it's a great way to share. Activate your women's ministry. Wow, we got to get cooking here. Okay, activate your women's ministry. Make sure your wife is preaching and teaching regularly, if not weekly. Here's one thing that's helped my wife. My wife is a great preacher, but she gets really nervous about preparing lessons because I do it so much more than she does. And so just through repetition, I don't freak out so much about it because I know somehow or other I'm going to get it done. But she doesn't do it as often, and so one thing has helped. This is why you should try to get your Wednesday lesson done on Tuesday, is I do it for myself, then I give her the copy, and I ghostwrite the lesson for her. And I do a copy for me and a copy for her, and then she takes it on Tuesday, she reworks it, she builds on it, adds her own, she customizes it for her sake and for the sake of the women, and converts it to her copy. Basically, she customizes it for the women's needs, adds her own illustrations. Takes the pressure off of her, and then she comes in, she's just ready to tear into it on Wednesday night. So I'd strongly recommend that. It'll help your wife a lot if you can assist your wife in that way. So then also coach her on appointments and give her strength on what to do. I'm going to try to finish this here. Let's see. Yeah, this is my last point. So we're just going to go here before we take our next break. Tackle money issues head on.
All right.
Okay, let's go here. Let's talk about tackling money issues head on. Here's our contribution history. Money is a big issue. Now, when I was self-supporting in Ashland, I didn't pay enough attention to this because I was supporting myself, so I didn't feel the pinch. Just one more mistake I made, but that's one thing I did. But coming into Tucson, I'm like, we have 2 months support, 2 years support, and then we're on our own. So we got to really pay attention to this. It's our second year goal, is to be self-supporting by September 30th of this year. So here's what you need to do. You need to preach on money at least once a quarter. Can't be afraid. Some of us are really afraid to teach on money. I know what that's like. My wife hates it when I talk about money. I'm like, honey, we're going to talk about money. So you got to do it because it makes a big difference. Make tithing part of your maturity class. When I have people place membership, I say, if you want to be a member, you need to tithe. Now, I'm not going to follow up with them super deep, but if they say, okay, I go, that's good enough for me. But they understand the concept that if you want to be a member of our church, you need to tithe 10%. That's it. Issue the 90-day tithing challenge from Malachi 3:10. That's a great thing to do, and it's really smart. Now take a look here. I did that. See our contribution here. It started with 0. It's up around 1,000, and then this is our first service. We had like over $3,000 that first service. That was a good start. Then it drops down to a more normal figure, and then we had our hope contribution, our first hope contribution. That was $3,000. But then it goes back down here to our normal contribution of about $1,200, $1,500. And then what happened here is in March, I did a lesson on Malachi 3, and I said, I want to challenge you to tithe 10% of your money for the next 90 days. Look at the response. Boom. All of a sudden, we went over $2,000, and we were like $2,300 for a while. This is our special contribution last spring. That's for missions and stuff. But this is the key thing. I preached on it, and boom, people responded. People are responsive if you'll talk about it. And then we went along here, and then we'll talk more about that. And so another thing you can do is honor and thank your top 20% givers with a thank you dinner. Figure out who, 20% of your people give 80% of your contribution. Figure out who those people are and let them know you appreciate them. They're carrying the bulk of your ministry. And I had them over to my house. I made them a steak dinner. And they were so blown away that I did that I even thought about them or thanked them for their giving. Boy, it makes some big deposits. So do something nice for those people. Figure out who they are. Treat them special. They're paying your way. So you better treat them special. Mail your members a quarterly tithing update that shows their past quarter giving. That's a good way. It's kind of like a little report card. You don't make any judgment. Just say, thank you so much for your giving. This is where it's been. This is for your tax records. And just week by week, you show them, did they give or not, or how much they gave. And it's like right there. And if there's a whole bunch of gaps in their giving, they're going to go, whoa, there's a lot of gaps there where I didn't give. You don't make any judgment. You just give them a report. This was your giving. But I did that. That helped the contribution quite a bit as well. Use How to Manage Our Money God's Way DVD series. This is an awesome program. This is a collection of different speakers, and they talk every segment. I was going to do Dave Ramsey, but I've done it before, and I thought I'd try something different. This is like, ministers and different financial guys talk and give a little sermon for about 25 minutes, and then there's a discussion afterwards. Really good program. I'm going to give some of these away to some guys here. But what I saw here is take a look at the results. Okay, here we are over here with our contribution. And the first quarter I did a class on maturity, and one of them was tithing. So the following week, I did that lesson, and boom, we went up over $3,400. Now keep in mind, this is the level I need to get my church to become self-supporting, where we're not relying on any outside support. So that's my target. I preached that one time, boom, it went up over here, then it dropped down. And then I did the first segment of that class, Managing Your Money God's Way, the very following Sunday, boom. I didn't talk about money, the DVD did, and look at that, jumped up. I go, we're on the right track. And so I'd say use those programs, those things, talking about the money, using good financial programs to help people deal with their finances can help you in your ministry. Make tithing an expectation of membership, and especially leadership. We got people in our church that don't tithe. They say, I did a study, and I don't have to tithe, and they don't get it. Those people are not in my leadership group. And really, in my mind, they've chosen not to be members of our church because they don't want to give, they don't want to support. If everyone were like them, we wouldn't have a church.
Right.
And so I go, but those people also want to be leaders. They want to be influential, but they don't want to give.
Right.
Okay? Tithing is absolutely essential. If your leaders are not tithing, it's something you need to talk about. In fact, when you're evaluating the spiritual condition of a brother, include tithing along with reading, praying, confessing, and attendance as a sign of spiritual health. There's this one brother that I talked to after Christmas, and I got the call, bro, I'm not doing very good. I got this, sing hymn with this girl, and then my quiet times aren't really good. I said, bro, let me ask you this. How's your tithing going? Because I remember, bro, about 3 months ago, I talked to you about this, and you said that you were struggling with it, but that you're really going to consider, I haven't been tithing at all. What do you mean, you haven't been tithing, or actually haven't been giving anything? I said, well, you didn't repent on what we earlier talked about. Why don't you try that? Why don't you just try to repent in your worship to God in that area? Because it's probably all working together. You're not reading your Bible, you're not praying, plus you're not tithing, you're not worshiping. And this guy actually was a leader in our church, a major leader, well, as major as you can be in a church our size, and he just wasn't doing it. So he repented, and boom, all of a sudden he's doing awesome again. But he started tithing, and I think tithing is an overlooked area of people's spirituality we got to talk about. Read Maximize by Nelson Searcy on this topic. It's a great way of developing your giving. Guys, listen, if we're in small churches, you need more money. It's not just getting the church bigger. You got to get more money in your church, or else you're going to be out of a job. So get the money going. Okay? Cut other areas of your budget. I know some of us are really tight and we're trying to cut areas. We cut in the wrong areas. Don't cut your children's ministry. Okay, that's like saying we don't want parents in our church. No marriage but money. Go away. Okay, don't cut your kids' program. That's the first thing that you do not cut. Put more money into it, if anything. Don't cut invitations and door hangers. It's cheap and it's effective. Big bang for the buck. Don't cut outreach giveaway items like the juicy fruit. That's tasty.
Yeah.
You need that. It's a great way to get people out there. And every Saturday you need to bring up along a big bucket of it, candy, whatever you're doing. Just put the money into it. It's well worth it. This guy, this football player I'm studying the Bible with right now, he's a wide receiver on the Arizona team. He goes, man, I got some candy on campus. I thought, that's cool. So I brought my girlfriend. We both thought that was cool. So here we are. Now he's studying the Bible. We just did light and darkness. You got a pack. You got a fun-sized pack of M&M peanuts. Cool. Great. If it works for you, that's awesome. Okay. We have donuts and coffee before church. I like that, and everyone else likes it, so I'm keeping that one going. Website development. Everyone looks at the web.
Yes.
I never look at our website, but everyone else seems to. Okay, so don't cut your money on that one. Okay, we're going to finish right there, and we're going to finish in our last section that we're going to come back to in the last half hour is 90-Day Success Campaign. How to turn your church around in 90 days. You guys going to be ready for that?
All right, come on.
Okay, good. Let's take a break.